Around 50 defense ministers from NATO and counterparts from around the world are meeting in Brussels to discuss military aid to Ukraine. U.S. Defense Secretary Lloyd confirmed that more weapons will be on their way.
And I'm especially pleased to be able to announce today that the United States will provide an additional $1 billion security assistance package for Ukraine. And that includes our 12th drawdown from DoD inventory since August of 2021. And it includes guided MLRS munitions, 18 more M777 howitzers, and the tactical vehicles to tow them, and 36,000 rounds of 155 millimeter ammunition.
And U.S. Army General Mark Milley, chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, reiterated what was at stake in Putin's war on Ukraine.
The world has a significant stake in the outcome of what happens in Ukraine. The so-called rules-based international order is at stake that has been in place since the end of World War II to prevent great power war and to prevent large powers from conquering smaller countries with military force.
And we can cross over now to Robert Person, a professor of international relations at the U.S. Military Academy at West Point. He is speaking to us in a personal capacity. A very warm welcome to the day, sir. Good to have you with us. We just heard there NATO again stepping up, pledging to provide more military support. It is substantial, but is it too late?
You know, I think it really is important to remember that many of us have been predicting for a long time that this would be a long, drawn-out conflict. It's going to be a slow slog for Ukraine, not just to defend its territory, but to perhaps go on the offensive and begin to reclaim much of the territory that Russia has seized since February 24th. And so in that respect, certainly, they could have used more weaponry yesterday and ages ago. But at this point, I think anything that the Western nations and partners of Ukraine can deliver to Kyiv to use as quickly as possible can only assist Ukraine in staying in this fight long enough to hopefully begin to reverse some of the gains that Russia has made over the last couple of months.
Now, that does beg the question, of course, if this does end up being an open-ended conflict, is Western resolve sustainable?
Of course, that's the million-dollar question, is just how long the United States, the European Union, and other partners are willing to stand by Ukraine with meaningful, substantive, but yes, costly assistance to repel the Russian invasion. Here I would go back to the statement by General Milley that you just played, which is to say that the implications of this fight extend far beyond Eastern Europe, far beyond Europe and Eurasia, and really go to the heart of global security and stability that has maintained peace and prosperity for much of the world for the last many, many decades. When General Milley speaks about the rules-based international order, this is a concept, this is a construct that has, benefited all of us. And to the degree that Russia's actions upset that order and threaten its very survival, it's something I believe that is worth investing in and something worth fighting for. Obviously, that may be difficult for the publics of these countries to understand and to appreciate why some of the costs that they're being asked to bear in support of Ukraine aren't just about Ukraine, but they're about our fundamental national security interests as well.
What is the picture that is emerging right now from the war in Ukraine? We're now 3 months in, and especially, what conclusions can you now draw about the military strength of Russia?
So, we've learned a lot in the last couple months. We've learned a lot about both the capabilities and the resolve of the Russian military and the Ukrainian military. I think one of the things that we've come to appreciate as Russia has abandoned its early military objectives of seizing Kyiv is that this is a conflict that generally seems to favor the side that is playing defense. It's relatively easier and less costly to defend a square kilometer of territory than it is to go on the offensive. And so as the fight now concentrates in eastern Ukraine, in the Donbas, I think it's important to take that into account as we begin to think about the future trajectory of the war. To the degree that it is able, I believe that Russia will try to certainly extend its footprint in the Donbas, as we're seeing, but also try to consolidate those gains. So the more that Russia is able to control and consolidate occupied territory now, I think the harder it is going to be for Ukraine to displace them later. And so I think Ukraine's efforts, and by extension our efforts supporting Ukraine, really ought to be oriented towards preventing the consolidation and further gains of Russian territory in the east.
Robert Person, Professor of International Relations at the U.S. Military Academy at West Point. He has been speaking to us today in a personal capacity. Sir, we appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you.